So I was like, oops, I got caught.
Yeah.
But he can't even say I love you to me.
Ooh.
You can be like,
weird,
hey,
right?
I
For
love
him.
you. I'm like, okay. I feel like it's mutual.
Yeah.
It's mutual. That is
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
How does that turn out in mental health?
In mental health, of course, everything that comes to mental health starts with emotions.
Right.
For you to come to where mental health is, what is your emotional state?
Right.
Because the things that we pent up, the things that we keep silent about, the things that we suppress, when they fester, like you talked about festering, when it comes to a place of eruption, any kind of pressure that is exerted on something, finally it erupts. When it comes to eruption, it might erupt in an outburst, an emotional outburst. It might erupt into an emotional breakdown. It might erupt in a form of suicide. It might erupt into depression. It might erupt into different things. The moment you do not express your emotions, there is, of course, because these are things that you're keeping inside.
Yeah.
And of course, the mental health starts from the inside.
Yeah.
What is your emotional state? What does the world within look like?
Yeah. So there's got to be an outlet.
That's what I was about to ask you.
Definitely.
So where do men go to let out this energy?
I don't know, really. For the most part, men have... let me say about myself. Another thing that really happened as I was growing up. I used to have, maybe I still do have bowed feet, Okay.
Like rickets?
Like not rickets really.
Okay.
But
oxbow legs, that's what they call them.
Yeah.
Oxbow legs.
But so kids will make a lot of fun about those legs and so on, and it got to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would stand, and on the road I would stand and I would look, really study my feet even as I'm walking and so on.
Like, we've been friends for over 13 years, never seen you in shorts.
When you come home, I'm in shorts. But here's the clinker. Here's the clincher. So one day, I don't know what my dad said, but he noticed, because looking back, I know he noticed me looking at my feet. As an adult, he must have realized what I was going through at that moment in time. But he did not speak into that. He did not elevate me. He made reference to it. He says, when something to the effect that when you're sent, stop just looking at your feet, go and come back, So again, as a man, what does that help? It sends you away, basically. It sends you to keep, where do you go if that's your daddy who is telling you stuff like that? And these are identity related issues, right? These are things that are basically corroding your identity in one way or another. You would want him to tell you. And by the way, people who have seen me, my feet, they're saying you have very nice feet. But I still don't believe that.
Yeah.
I still don't believe that because of the trauma that I went through. You have very nice toes and so on. I still don't believe that stuff. But you see, what lacked was a conversation, and that is one of the things that contributed me masking up as a man. In other things actually came up in my life that added on to. For example, as we speak today, I don't have a degree, and like I told you earlier on, when I was the first in primary school, what did he say? He's very proud of me. That was the first time.
Yeah.
Which tells you that if I don't have a degree, he is not proud of me, or he was not proud of me, and you will see some of that action and so on and so forth. Of course, right now we don't talk about that stuff, but it's something that there.
Yeah.
But it helps. It made me actually to have a very serious self-doubt. A 30-year-old, 35-year-old with serious self-doubt, to such an extent that I wouldn't in a room. I do believe that I've gone through serious personality changes.
Yeah.
At some point in time, you could see me as a sanguine, as in all over the place, making noise and so on. But I got to a place where I just withdrew and I became seriously melancholic. In a room, I would withdraw. I would be the last one to speak, unless I am very familiar with the guys and they're familiar with me and so on and so forth. But I wouldn't announce myself in a room like I used to do when I was a teenager or when I was younger than a teenager. So that has contributed me to keeping on masking myself, and to be honest with you, even as we speak today, I don't have just you're the closest, Ngonzi, you're the closest that I can say we are this close. And let me ask you a question.
Thank you very much.
How
You can
much?
say, "Ow."
But if you asked him
Yeah.
the deep stuff I've shared about him,
About yourself.
I mean about myself, with him, he wouldn't tell you much.
But
He wouldn't tell
No,
you
he doesn't
much.
even know your legs.
no. Thank you. So now let me ask. I want you to ask him how many times has he tried to find out? How many times have I probed and say, "Yo, what's going on? What's going on? And what's going on?"
Do you even know how to?
Ask him.
Yeah, he has. On several occasions, actually, he's reached out, and I will just give him a one-liner.
Like how exactly?
That's what's going on. Is there something we
What's
can talk
going
about?
on?
Is it something we can talk about? Of course, I give him a hint that I'm not in a good place at this moment, and so on and so forth. And he will push and say, "What exactly is that you're referring to?" I will give him a one-liner. It's like he's trying to get water out of a stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mask is still there, so to speak. The mask is still there. And that's why I love these conversations, because I do believe that for the mask to come out, it's not an event. I do think it's a process.
Yeah.
And it starts with surface conversations that can maybe, even if they're reciprocated and so on and so forth, and trust is being built and so on and so forth. And later on, guys are able to, unmask, really.
Yeah.
But it comes from the idea of having friendship and having trust and having consistency in it.
Yeah.
This idea of men just meeting over football, over pork, over whatever, things that pass time, but they're not like engaging one with another. They're not deep conversations one with another. Just like you said about your cousins, they think they know they don't. But you see, the interesting thing is that you find that a man, such kind of a man, is able to open up to someone of the opposite sex, whom maybe they have trusted and so on. And if it's a very dangerous game, if that lady that he's opened up to doesn't provide a safety net, so to speak.
But I think sometimes it's hard for a woman to even provide that safety net.
Right.
Because we belong to a society that does not allow the men to express themselves. So while we're talking about the men not expressing themselves, what does the woman know about a man who is expressive of their emotions? Weak. The same thing that society says about men and their emotions.
The guy begins to cry. You don't know what to do. Like, man, like it's not that serious.
No,
Yeah.
it might actually be serious, but we still expect them to be walking around without expressing their emotions.
Yeah.
So, men don't express, but can women be a safety space?
Now that you mentioned that, you mentioned earlier that what you really wanted was for both your parents to be around. And unfortunately, that's not how it worked out.
Yeah.
But bring me to the question about men sharing with women.
Yeah.
I want you to think about this. They are looking for their mother. Again, they are looking for their mother to soothe them and say, because that's generally how the dynamic is. That a son can have all these issues with their dad, but get a certain level of comfort from the mom. And yet, what the dad needs to provide to the son cannot be given by the mom.
Right.
And this, even when you flip the coin and you look at women, you find women struggling with their mothers.
Yeah.
And yet having a certain bond with their fathers.
Well, sometimes when the fathers are not around, so it's a mess.
So now then you have sugar daddies stepping in.
Yeah, right. I have not thought about that.
Then you have sugar daddies stepping in, and then you have daddy issues coming up in a relationship because all she wants is safety.
Right.
Because
security.
You see, my wife keeps telling me that when you are in the house feels full.
Different, yeah.
You get?
When you're not, something's missing.
Something is missing. Now, when I come in, then the door can be locked. Basically, it completes that security cycle, that sense of need for safety. So now here we are. Someone said, tell a girl why, and tell a boy, or show a boy where, and there'll be sex. Why? Women need emotional attachment and a good reason to open their legs for you. For a man, they just need a place. Yeah. So I'm saying this to show you that the different psychology of the genders is to balance each other up. And that is why this conversation I mentioned earlier about the jeopardy of fatherhood and God's plan in the world. My answer to the man was no. God has created a gap, has created a system to step in the gap for the absence of men. Let me tell you what that is. It's in the book of James, I think chapter 2 or chapter 1 verse 19. It says, true religion is this, to look after and to visit orphans and widows, and to keep oneself pure from the world. So I want you to think about that God has created or is looking at religion as the gap filler,
antidote
for the absence of men. Because what's the correlation between a widow and an orphan? The man is not there. So God has created religion to stand in the gap for the man in taking care of the family. Are you seeing how important this business is?
Yeah.
So when we grow up not willing to be, to be vulnerable. That's the word. Because you know what? Life is painful. You know what? Life
crazy.
Is painful.
And it's unfair.
And this is why I've always said that we as men have to take a thing or two from women. We as men have to learn how to cry. We have to come to a place where we become okay to talk and cry. You see women coming together at conferences in Java's, 3 women, put them together.
And we trash you.
There is a man at the center of that conversation.
Not always. Get out of my... Not always.
Okay, not always.
Not my circles.
Okay. but what we're saying is...
But at least...
But you know this, they come together, they discuss the dude, they cry, and then their hearts are released.
I think that would be too much for me. Okay, I think I also have this challenge as while I'm a woman here with the 2 guys.
Yeah.
I don't think I really, 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 really know how to relate with women. It's hard for me. If I go in a space and there are men in one corner, I actually know how to be with those guys because I have 2 brothers. And I'm the only girl.
Okay.
So I've found myself, there is a club I belong to. And I joined it through my cousin.
Yeah.
And before joining it, I knew his friends. And now the women were separated somewhere at the end of everything. Like, so how do I get there?
Yeah.
And then I looked at the other side, it was more exciting.
The men's side.
Yeah. I mean, they were playing cards, they were trashing each other. That's what I know.
So what do you do when you go to these family get-togethers and birthday parties? Do you ever notice that?
Birthday parties?
When you get these family
really
things?
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that? I don't know how, but you find the guys on their own, and then the mothers and the kids all on their own. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, for the elders.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Because
even here as
you're
well.
looking at tradition from the traditional setting. Women were always at the back
Yeah.
of